If you thought that was scary, you're not ready for this show's core message. Hello and welcome to Alien ProtoMet. Kamen Rider is a children's franchise, but it has a tendency to be more mature in tone than its contemporaries. But sometimes it needs to take things further in order to shine a light on very real problems in the world. Today I'll be taking a look at 2022's Kamen Rider Black Sun, a reimagining of 1988's Kamen Rider Black. Fair warning, this video will contain lots of spoilers and very graphic content, but if you've made it this far without turning back, then don't you dare look away. Told across two time periods, we see the formation and corruption of Gorgum, a group fighting for the civil rights of Kaijin, which grows to exploit the very people that they represent. As anti-Kaijin sentiment persists across the decades, three would-be heroes emerge. In 1972, Kotaro Minami and Nobuhiko Akizuki, known as the Kaijin Black Sun and Shadow Moon respectively, fight for the rights of Kaijin, but in a way that some would view as extreme. In 2022, Owie Izumi seeks to enlighten the world to the continued plight of Kaijin in Japan by speaking out on their behalf. But the truth of the world isn't as simple as they think, and all three must fight for their beliefs in a world set against them. The Kamen Rider series is no stranger to social commentary, but not even Amazon's, the first series made specifically for an adult audience rather than children, is as in-your-face with the message as Black Sun is. And it is unflinching. No, seriously, the first episode had a theatrical release that people had to leave because the scene at the end of the episode left them nauseous with how brutal it was. As I often do in this series, I'll start off with the heroes of the series. First off is Kotaro, the titular Kamen Rider Black Sun. In the scene set in 72, he's somewhat bright-eyed and willing to stand up for Kaijin rights. But that's not how the audience is introduced to him. We're introduced to the 22 version of him that has become so disillusioned that he's almost homeless, buying painkillers to ease the pain in his crippled leg that leaves him limping. He is far from the hero one would expect from the Kamen Rider series, and that's a good change of pace. The show, jumping back and forth in time, shows us just how the world has ground down his idealism into paste, and the only reason he goes back to fighting is because of Owie and the sense of hope for the future he sees in her. Kotaro's brother figure, Nobuhiko, initially shares his idealism, but 50 years of imprisonment leaves him embittered with Gorgum and the government, and once he finds himself free, he seeks to take them down by radicalizing the Kaijin of Japan. His more extreme ideology leads him into conflict with Kotaro, and eventually to him becoming the villain that his character is based on. Owie is different from the other two, however. At the start of the series, she has seen the iniquity of the world, but is still hopeful. She uses her words to try to convince the world to help and accept the Kaijin as the humans they rightfully are. But this makes her a target, more so once Gorgum learns that she has the Kingstone they need. As her world gets torn to shreds, the only protection she has is Kotaro, and it's through her time with him that she learns to fight to protect not only herself, but those close to her, something that unfortunately becomes easier when she's forced to become a Kaijin against her will. As with the original series, the main source of conflict comes from the Gorgum Party, which, in this series, as mentioned before, was created to lead the fight for civil rights for Kaijin in the 70s. But due to political influence involving Shinichi Donami, the grandson of the then Prime Minister, it became twisted into a political party that, on the surface, fights for Kaijin, while secretly creating and exploiting Kaijin in ways that violate their basic human rights. By the time of the present, Donami has risen to the rank of Prime Minister himself, and uses his position to effectively take control of Gorgum from behind the scenes. As it happens, his grandfather is the man responsible for the very creation of the Kaijin in the first place. While most Kaijin believe that they've existed since before humans evolved, in truth, they were created as a result of horrific human experiments, funded by Michinosuke Donami, which are akin to those committed by the infamous Unit 731, resulting in the birth of the Creation King, the very first Kaijin. While he is the source of all kaijin, even secreting the fluid that kaijin can feed on, by the 1970s he's become little more than a catatonic figurehead that's being literally milked for all he's worth. Kotaro and Nobuhiko are themselves subjects of similar human experiments, with a pair of stones known as the Kingstones implanted into them to turn them into the Century Kings, powerful kaijin capable of becoming the new Creation King should the need arise. Their fathers, who were part of the unit that created the Creation King, performed the surgeries to change their sons themselves, though by the 1970s neither of the now grown men needs the Kingstone to remain in their bodies, while still retaining their immense strength. The pair's Kingstones go missing during the 70s, a result of their falling out with Gorgum, which leads to Nobuhiko being imprisoned and kept young to be used as a new Creation King when the time arrives, while Kotaro goes into hiding as a disillusioned loner, taking odd jobs to keep himself hopped up on painkillers. It's only after the Gorgum party discover that Owie is in possession of the Kingstone that they decide to act to replace the dying Creation King, setting in motion the conflict of the series. But Donami and the Gorgum Party aren't the cause of all the hostility against kaijin that exists in the show's world. They're merely exploiting a problem that already exists. The show does little to hide the fact that it's drawing its narrative inspiration from the American civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement of the present day. Maybe it's my perspective as an American projecting onto a Japanese show, but Kamen Rider Black Sun feels like a direct response to American history repeating itself in a very ugly and public way. While kaijin are allowed the rights to protest the discrimination they face, equal if not greater allowances are made for the hateful bigots that protest their very existence, going as far as to actively target kaijin in the places they live, work, and learn with violent rhetoric. And then there's the ending. While the primary conflict of the show is resolved, with the death of the Creation King, the revelation of the true origin of kaijin to the world, and the collapse of Dogami's kaijin creation and trafficking enterprise, it doesn't solve the problems that still exist in the world of the show, as the discrimination against kaijin still persists, and Dogami's aide takes up the task as the new Prime Minister with Bisham, the sole surviving priest of the Gorgum Party, at his side. In the end, it was a Pyrrhic victory that only leaves Izumi radicalized, having learned that in the face of opposition that would ignore your voice, spit on you and your values, or even kill you rather than listen to you, fighting tooth and nail for peace and equality may be the only way forward. This is an incredibly heavy series that is certainly not intended for children. While the kaijin in this series don't exist, the show's themes of open and profound racism, political corruption at the expense of the public, and human exploitation are very real things that do exist in the real world. Kamen Rider Black Sun uses the lens of Kamen Rider Black to shine a light on the atrocities that occur in the everyday around the world, and it does not shy away from the ugly truth. It also highlights the fact that real life doesn't always have a happy ending, but that's no reason to give up on fighting for a better tomorrow. Until next time, I'm ProtoMet, and be good to each other while striving to be better people.